All right, so these are just things that I came across, whether it was earlier this week or earlier this morning. SAG-AFTRA has approved a TV theatrical streaming negotiations package. So if you don't follow the industry, the current contract is set to expire on June 30th. So negotiations are going to start on February 9th so that they can hopefully have an agreed upon package by the time the contract expires. President Sean Astin said, "I've listened to members from every corner of our union talk about how their work and livelihoods are evolving. This negotiations package is rooted in those conversations." The executive director and chief negotiator, Duncan Crabtree Ireland, said, "This proposal package is the result of careful analysis, extensive member input, and rigorous decisions by the national board. We launched these negotiations with a clear strategy and a steadfast focus on achieving a deal that protects SAG-AFTRA members across all media and platforms." Now, if you're like me, you're wondering, probably, what this negotiation package is. Well,
That's
hold
exactly
on to
what
your
I was
butt.
wondering.
Hold on to your butt, because this package is confidential and no one can see it ever, never, ever.
Of course, it figures. But you know what? If he pulls this off and he gets a deal in place before the actual negotiations, that's gonna be pretty impressive.
I still think that there's going to be a strike, but we'll see. We will see. I would like nothing more than to be wrong. Anyway, moving on. Do you like Disney? Jason, do you like Disney?
Sure, why not?
Everybody loves Disney. It's the happiest place on earth. Well, the parks may become even less accessible to the general public in the coming years. Why, do you ask? I'm so glad you asked. Disney's new CEO appointee, Josh D'Amaro, he's pointed out that the theme parks no longer subsidize the company, they are the company. They account for nearly 50% of the company's profits. In Q4, it was like 52% of the company's profits. So what does this mean for the parks? Well, I imagine it means we can expect that they will double down on increasing revenue for the parks. So optimizing the system to target fewer guests with bigger wallets. Expect increased ticket prices, which are already insane. Introduction of new premium features, because who doesn't like a tiered system for the Fast Pass? And curated itineraries targeted at the uber wealthy. Club 33 is going to have full reign of the park.
I know that they're adding a bunch of new lands to the parks, which that by itself already had me concerned that they were going to raise prices because you got to pay for those. I mean, those are huge investments. So I would not be surprised if we did see an increase, but hopefully if nothing else, it adds to the value of the expensive ticket. I don't know. I'm really trying for a silver lining here.
I think that's a tough sell, because the average household income in the United States as of last year, so 2025, was around 80K. And that actually sounded high to me, that 80K was the average, but those were the numbers that were cited, and they were generally the numbers that I found when I did a very, very quick Google search. And when you weigh that against the price of an average Disney vacation, so this is a non-luxury week-long Disney vacation, the average cost is $8K for a family of 4. So that's 10% of your average income in the United States, which, like, just who can do that? And if prices get even more expensive, you're definitely looking at targeting the luxury experience and targeting the lower upper class and the upper class. So expect that to happen.
Good time.
In an unprecedented film deal, Sanderson, Brandon, I don't know. Brandon Sanderson. I should have looked this up beforehand, how to spell his name. But Brandon Sanderson has cut a deal with Apple TV to adapt his fantasy book universe Cosmere for the silver screen. The Mistborn series, which is part of the Cosmere universe, will be adapted for film, and the Stormlight Archive series will be adapted for TV. But this is the crazy part about this deal, and this is what makes it unprecedented. He will have nearly entire creative control of the series. He will write, produce, and consult on all projects linked to the Cosmere universe, and he will have cast approval ability, which is more control than J.K. Rowling or George R.R. Martin had in their respective series. So this is a deal that has never happened, probably will never happen again.
Unless it makes money. If this makes enough money, I can see where other studios would do the same thing, because that's what they do. They point to whatever the big ticket thing was recently and they go, do that. So hopefully it works. Hopefully it's a great project. I've never been a huge Apple fan, but I do think a lot of the stuff that they're putting on Apple TV has been pretty solid. So if they pull this off, maybe we'll see more of it.
I'm so glad you say that, because Sanderson has said on his YouTube channel in an official statement that he picked Apple TV because he likes their work and vibe, and also because of the control they were willing to give him. However, there are people who are already skeptical of this deal, citing that the Cosmere universe is overall a downer. So apparently it has a sort of
what is the property?
Tone.
Do you know this property?
I don't, but people are saying that it has a darker tone to it, and apparently has a very dense mythology, and that could impact people's willingness to stick around and follow the series. And to those
I don't know. I feel like we're in a dark era. I think that'll only bring more people, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, to those people, I say the weak have no place here. You can see yourself out now.
Nice.
So that's pretty wild, but this next one is even more wild, which is just so crazy. The news that has come out this week. Are you familiar with the Malta Film Studios?
No, what is that?
So Malta has a pretty booming film industry. They offer 40% tax rebates, which is why a lot of very big films have filmed there. Films like Jurassic World Rebirth, both Gladiators, Game of Thrones have all shot there. And they have massive sound stages. They already have a massive water tank that sits right on the Mediterranean. But I guess that wasn't enough for them, because they have just approved new sound stages, one of which is a industry-shattering land-sea super stage.
What does that mean? That sounds insane.
So this is going to be built for seamless open sea horizon shots. So what that means is they're going to build it right on the coast, right on the water. It's going to be next to their existing massive water tank. It's going to be 43,000 square feet. It's going to be 85 feet tall, strong enough to house helicopters. And the stage doors are going to open straight into the ocean so that you can get a true open sea horizon shot.
Wow.
The benefits of this studio are that they can have controlled interiors and waterwork scenes while still being able to get that infinite horizon shot. And they're building other studios. This isn't the only one. And I can only imagine how much this is going to cost. So expect
James Cameron is probably
much more.
Salivating right now because he loves open water scenes. Like, he loves them. And he's done plenty of them where they're digitally created. But if you got a big thing like that, like Avatar 4 and 5 filmed in Malta Studios.
I think that you're going to see a lot more films coming out of Malta within the decade, because I don't know how long it's going to take them to build this, but even if it took them 9 years, the number of people who will be ravagely trying to book that space, it's going to be through. Because 40% tax rebate, the U.S. doesn't come anywhere close to that.
Yeah, I mean, there's still something to be said about getting all the stuff over there. So I don't know, still going to depend on the production, I guess, if it's going to be worth it or not. But that's a huge,
I don't know.
that's a huge incentive.
You're seeing a lot of films shoot abroad specifically because of tax rebates, and it ultimately makes it cheaper. So like, yeah, I guess you got to transport people and equipment to some degree, but renting equipment is hugely on the rise. Nobody actually really, like, studios don't really own equipment anymore. It's all really owned by rental houses. Yeah. Universal doesn't own the IMAX camera that Nolan is using. They've just rented it from IMAX. So
yeah. Yeah, and that makes sense because it's something that's kind of across studios where various companies can use it and film that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So my bet is there'll be a lot of stuff filming in Malta, which, like, kind of fingers crossed, because like one of the reasons I became an actor is because I want to shoot on a land sea super stage. What do you mean?
Yeah, get that. What is that clause called when if you get wet enough, you get a kicker? There's some sort of.
Is there really?
There's like there's a SAG rule. I forget what it's called, but if you are, there's a certain percentage of wet that you are. If you get wet enough for a production, you get an extra bonus to your pay. Like they have to pay you more. So if it's just like a splash or whatever, it doesn't count. But if you are dripping wet, there's extra pay that you get.
I believe that because I also know that there's a limit to how long you can be in a body of water, because obviously the concern is hypothermia. And if it's being built on the ocean, you're talking about ocean temperatures, which are sometimes quite cold. And I know that there are limits to how long you're allowed to be in the water.
Yeah, it's, I'm trying to see if I can find the name of it. I know background actors, they call it a wet bump. And that's like an extra $50 a day or something. But there's actually something for leads too, because I know it applied to, like Titanic. And it might have even been, I forget what movie triggered it, but there was some kind of movie where they were just so wet all day long and it was so miserable filming.
Probably Waterworld.
But also being a part of Waterworld was probably miserable enough.
Yeah.
They should have gotten more just for that, because that movie was not good. Anyway, anything else for real news today?
That's all I came across. I'm sure there's plenty of other news out there in the world, but these are what I came across, and these were some pretty crazy stories. Like, I'm honestly excited for this Sanderson thing, even if, like, I don't read his books, but I've heard really, really good things about his books. The Mistborn series has been recommended to me a number of times. I really should read it. But I'm also curious to see how that turns out as far as the deal is concerned, because just because you're good at writing a book doesn't mean you're good at writing a screenplay or making cast choices.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.